Hello everybody, here we are with day 4 of our 25 days of raising awareness for mental health issues. Day 4 I've published that it's going to be about PTSD, so be warned, this may or not be quite personal for some people. This might trigger some people, so just be aware that if this is quite personal for you, then just hi Phil, how are you? This might be quite personal for you, so we're going to be discussing PTSD. And again, I want to make the caveat there that I'm not a doctor. I'm not here to make any sort of diagnosis. I'm not here to make any medical claims, etc. But really just bring the subject out of sleep, of where I think a lot of mental health issues are. People push them away. We don't really discuss them enough to bring it out in the open, and I think that's the overarching feel that I'm getting for these sessions is really just discussing these issues in public, raising awareness, and just sort of allowing people the time and space to feel comfortable talking about this stuff. Okay, so like I said, everybody, today is PTSD, and what I want to start with is looking at where we are compared to America. Now, America have a very large PTSD group. They have a very large set of resources for PTSD. They have an awareness day. June 27th is their statewide awareness day for PTSD. So the UK, we've got some stuff going there, but pretty much about the same as with most mental health issues. There's not the funding for it. There is a website. I did post a link for it earlier on, PTSD UK. And again, if you want to delve into this subject in any real depth, I suggest you go to some of these other areas, particularly PTSD UK. Very good website there with lots of links, lots of pointers to other areas that people might feel useful. Okay, so let's start with what PTSD is then. So PTSD, it's been called lots of things in history, shell shock, bomb shock, all that sort of stuff, particularly around the First and Second World War, diagnosed as early as the early 1900s, but not really understanding what it was, called different things all the way through. And it's normally associated with military service, but what we're sort of understanding now is that there is a lot more trauma, a lot more PTSD likely intrusions in society than we were expecting before. So rather than just being linked with military service, people in blue light services, medical stuff, people associated with traumatic childbirth has diagnosed as it. Anything that people have a fear, a trauma, an event that causes some sort of pain, physical, mental, spiritual, etc., to them. And what the PTSD does, the diagnosis of PTSD is for those people that can't process those things. And again, let's just put it out there. I don't have figures or anything like that, but the majority of people who have these traumatic events do not suffer long term from them. They might have memories, they might have things that they will remember about these events, but they've been processed, if that's a decent word, have been processed for their brain to then file it away. What we have with some people, a very small amount of people, but increasingly it's larger amounts, particularly where we're sort of understanding the triggers for it and finding out where people, particularly in the recent conflicts in Afghan, etc. What we're seeing is that people are suffering from PTSD years later, and I think the average is maybe 7 years. Yeah, so I don't know what significance that is. I don't know whether there's any sort of other research there, But what they're seeing is, you can suffer from it from years later. So the idea is that we want to try and process it as soon as possible, and in a safe way. Okay. And I suppose, if you think about the brain, and I'm going to refer to the brain quite a lot over the weeks that we're going to be doing this. If you think about the brain as about a filing cabinet, okay, so the brain files things away, and we recall stuff, etc. So what PTSD, or what the symptoms of PTSD have caused, is a filing error. Yeah. So the filing error is not necessarily just filed away as an event. It's given a whole set of other circumstances. So it's given a whole set of feelings, a whole set of emotions, smells, tastes, all that sort of stuff. So whenever we then process something that is similar, and the brain is very lazy, it makes links in the brain to try and catalogue stuff, because it just wants to sort of, yeah, that'll do, it'll fit into there. And what we do is we then create short circuits between normal everyday things. So it might be a smell, it might be a sensation, linking it to that event. And then we start to suffer things like flashbacks. We might start to see the process of that traumatic event as nightmares, as dreams, things that keep cropping up. Okay. So there is lots of research going into PTSD. But again, it's not really understood that much. It is just that sort of process of a traumatic event, somebody then filing it away. It's not really then filed correctly, and then it keeps coming back. So what can we do then? So the things that we can do, I suppose. The idea is that if we're suffering, yeah, we are the person that has control over our destiny. So we're the person that needs to reach out and get some help. And there's lots of help out there. Lots of people are willing to help. May not be in the way that we automatically expect, and it may not be the magic thing that we just make everything disappear. But 9 times out of 10, those people that do reach out, they get some help, and then they start to process the traumatic events that they've suffered from, and then get a process in place so that they can then make some difference for them. Where we see a lot of the issues is where somebody's suffering from PTSD and they're having flashbacks, or they're having nightmares, or they're having even reenactments within their own mind. They start to affect their surroundings. So they start to affect people with their work, they start to affect their family, they start to affect their friends. And that obviously then has a knock-on effect, particularly where people don't understand what's going on. And, quite rightly, people have their own lives. They're not there to sort of sit around and just sort of pay attention to you if you're in one of these situations. But if you do know that somebody has suffered some traumatic events in the past, if you do know they're exhibiting some of the symptoms, signs and symptoms of PTSD, it might be that you can then help them gain some help. You might be able to signpost them to some areas. What we're seeing is the people that actually need the help are a lot of the time pretty unwilling to accept any help, or not willing to go and seek help, again because of the old stereotypes. I don't need help, there's nothing wrong with me, I'm a bloke, therefore I need to sort it out. I'm a macho military guy, there's nothing that can harm me, etc. So again, the reasons why we're talking about this stuff is to try and batter down some of those stigmas, try and batter down some of those thoughts, feelings, and emotions that people have around asking for help, particularly where the label of mental health comes in. And mental health, particularly in the past, has had a bad reputation, a bad label for sticking people in institutions, all sorts of stuff like that. Again, not going into the past, but we do need to understand where society is coming from to understand some of the challenges we're going to have taking this forward and speaking about it in the future. And it is a certain generational thing. My generation, from maybe the 50s, 60s, 70s, we're not used to open talking about it. Guys are not supposed to be talking about these sort of feelings and emotions, about not being able to handle these feelings around some events that other people have. Again, we're all individuals, but again, we get lumped into, we should be able to manage this, we should be able to do this. Okay. And again, I don't want to sort of exclude anybody, but I'm just speaking from my experience as a bloke of a certain age. The other events, like I said, many people have them, male, female, indifferent, whatever. There's lots of people that have traumatic events, but I'm just speaking as a general subject from my experience. So what we need to think about is what we can do for people. Well, like I said, we can signpost, we can try and get them some help. Ultimately, within first aid, mental health first aid, if we think they're going to harm themselves or others, we can make an emergency call. Okay, that is our bottom line. And again, if principles of first aid, physical first aid, don't put yourself at risk. Again, making a phone call might be the thing that stops somebody harming themselves now or in the future. Getting that, and again, the people that want the help, they will seek it. The people that need the help and don't seek it are probably going to be quite resistant to other people getting involved in this. So what are some of the signs and symptoms of PTSD? Well, maybe some sort of hypersensitivity to their surroundings. Maybe some sort of switched off, maybe shut down. Traumas, so reliving things, having nightmares, having bad dreams, not being able to sleep. Then we start to stray into things that causing the poor health, maybe not looking after ourselves, drinking, use of drugs. All these sorts of things are things that could be leading towards mental health issues. But particularly with PTSD, we're looking at somebody that has been exposed either once or over a period of time to traumatic events. So whether they've processed them or not, those people, if they're starting to exhibit these signs and symptoms of hypersensitivity, reliving them, not being able to sleep, etc. So those are the people that we need to be thinking about flagging and signposting. And again, I'm not an expert on any of this stuff. All I do is, like I say, I do mental health first aid. It is my pet subject. Mental health is my pet subject. And again, when I talk about my story tomorrow, I'm going to bore you with a few bits about my story tomorrow. I just wanted to sort of lay it there, why I'm interested in mental health, why I look at it as a thing that, particularly for my age, taking it on and talking about it publicly, putting it out on social media, using this forum to actually spread the word about mental health, and particularly, like I said, from my perspective, as a bloke in this environment, in this age, it's each little time that we can talk about it, we can help more people, because we're bringing it out of the sort of darkness and the recesses where it's been for such a period of time. We need to keep badgering people so that it becomes almost the norm that we can talk about this stuff if we need to. So again, PTSD, I don't want to go into too much depth about it. Like I said, I'm not medically trained on this sort of mental health stuff. I've just done a first aid trainer's course. I do first aid. I've done life coaching. I've done NLP practice. I'm studying to be a CBT practitioner. So all these sort of acronyms and things I will explain tomorrow when I go through my full story of where I am and what I've done and why I'm here now. But if anybody wants to put anything, talking about PTSD, and I see a few people there that I recognise from Mountain Rescue. Mountain Rescue, again, classed as one of the blue light services, is exposed to traumatic events. We're very good at the moment because we have a trauma risk management process. It was actually invented by the Royal Marines many years ago, looking at the incidents of traumatic events, processing that event, talking about it, and then having a system of backup where we speak to people. We check up. we're vigilant about the people that have been exposed to that traumatic event, and then put a process in place if people need it. If people don't need it, they can back out of it. But we're aware that we do expose people to trauma. The military, very much so now, pick up a TRIM assessment, particularly where they've had a traumatic event. What's happened is, though, some people fall through those cracks. So what we're trying to do now is make sure that the joined up approach, the people that have slipped through the cracks, the people that have left the military, the people that are out in society now, maybe been carrying it for many years, they've got a chance to reach out to somebody. They've got a chance to send a message to somebody, drop a text, an email, a Facebook message, just to say, look, saw your video, or saw your video you copied, or saw the message you sent out about mental health, etc. I think now is my time to sort of talk about the stuff that I'm asking for some help. And all I would ask is, if you're the recipient of a request for some help from anybody about mental health, if you can't take it on, just spend the time thinking, okay, well, what can I do for this person to give them something to move on to the next step? If it's not you, if you're not the person that wants to sit down and listen to their first step, they've had the courage to reach out, you be the person that signposts them. You be the catalyst that then, gets them to move on somewhere else. And one of the principles that you probably need to do is, if you are passing somebody on, you need to ask their permission. Okay. So rather than just sharing people's information, particularly nowadays, just sit back and go, okay, I'm probably not the person to help you here. What I want to do is send you on somewhere else. Is it okay if? And if it's not, then it's not. And you might have to sit there and just think, well, I can't really sit there and do that. Sorry, fella, it's not for me. Is there anybody else that you can speak to, etc.? If you can sit there and listen to somebody just offload, that is probably all they need sometimes. Okay, that could be the start of the thing that helps them move on, starting to talk about this. So it's pretty much talking about traumatic events. And some people say, well, that might make it worse. They're reliving it. Well, if they're already reliving it on a regular basis, they're already in that cycle of reliving traumatic events, then how much worse can it get? Not saying that you're going to then cure them. I'm saying that you are maybe the catalyst that starts that process where somebody reaches out. So what I ask is, be aware, okay, that if you're likely to come across people, and I can see a few of my ex-Marine buddies on here. Hi, guys. If you are aware of people in your circle, if you're aware that you might be coming across people that have likely been exposed to trauma, go and find out what PTSD means. Go and log into the PTSD UK website. Spend 5-10 minutes looking at all the articles there. Look at what they can do. Look at the people that it has helped. Look at the links that are on there, particularly for families, particularly for friends. Something that you might want to sort of shortlist. Maybe bookmark it on your computer. Maybe drop a link onto your phone, so that if you do have an incident where somebody's asking for help, you've got something there that you can instantly pass on to somebody. This is where you need to go, mate. Is it okay if I, send your name across to a buddy of mine that works here, etc.? No? Okay, we'll read this, and let's talk about it again. But just be aware that there's stuff out there, but if we don't talk about it, if we don't regularly bring it up, if we don't regularly make it part and parcel of what we do and how we act and the people we are, it will always be weird. It will always feel. What we want this to do is to change into something that is just normal. Somebody's having a bad day. Oh, right, okay, why is that, mate? Oh, yeah, well, I'm getting flashbacks from this, that, and the other. Okay, well, do you want to sit and talk about it? Yeah, really. Okay, what should we do next? Well, I need some more help. Okay, let's move you on to such and such. Let's signpost this, let's signpost that. Brilliant. Thank you very much, mate. Yeah. Oh, I'll see you next week. Fantastic. Okay, at the moment, it's all hidden. So again, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing now. This is why I'm talking to you about PTSD today. Okay, so if anybody's got any questions, I'm going to hang around just opening up the floor there. If anybody's got any questions or anything they want to bring to the table. If not, I'm going to wind it up there. I've droned on long enough. Enjoyed the barbecue last night and the beer. So that was very nice. Just sort of chilling out for Star Wars Day, and then sat down and watched Empire Strikes Back. I would have watched New Hope as the sort of anniversary, but it was the 40th anniversary of Empire Strikes Back this year. So I thought, and personally, probably think it's one of the better films of the lot, other than New Hope, so the first one. So yeah, so hang around now. Just if anybody wants to send me anything here, a few people there I'm seeing logging in. Okay, guys, send me a message. Tomorrow I'm going to be talking about my story, where I've been, what I've done, how I've got to this point, and particularly why I'm talking about mental health. So if anybody's got any questions there, seeing a few people there locally. Jimmy Mann, welcome. Nice, I haven't seen you for a while, buddy. Yeah, Daryl White. Hi, Lou. Yeah, talking about these unprecedented times as well. Yeah, thanks for that, Lou. PTSD. We see things, we think about it, maybe military service and road accidents. Actually, the fear of the COVID situation, the anxiety levels raised on a regular basis over the situation that people are going into now. Maybe that will sort of raise a lot of these sort of traumatic events for some people, and we have to have a bit of a caveat. I think some people are susceptible to mental health. That doesn't make them weak or whatever, but you just need to be aware that some people are more likely, and other people just plow through things. And again, everybody's individual. We all have our way of managing things. Okay. Okay. So anything else there? Nothing else. Okay. Right. I'm gonna. If nobody's got anything specific there to bring in, I'll just close it up. Particularly if you want to come on and discuss anything yourself as part of these sessions, by all means, send me a message. We'll pick a day in the future when I can actually share or invite some people to talk about something that is personal to them. And again, I don't want people to just share their personal stuff if that's not what they want to do. But the more we talk about it, the more we're able to talk in public like this, the more that we can help those people that can't necessarily find their voice in this format. Okay, so until tomorrow, enjoy your evening, guys, and stay safe.